Every day people are peaking because they're hearing from trans people like this, who are just so obviously exaggerating and lying out their asses.
Are we going to live in a society where being trans itself is grounds for criminalization?
Not every situation where they fail to disclose their sex will involve a criminal offense. But I mean, this person didn't just fail to disclose. They said, "You can't touch me down there, I'm on my period." I actually think most trans people don't lie to people in order to fuck them.
If this stands, it tells every trans person that your identity itself can be treated as a crime.
Don't do this, and you'll probably be fine. This video is trans woman on trial for non-disclosure. So it's about the whole thing. It's kind of tantamount to like sexual assault. If you have sex with someone who is having sex with you believing that you're one thing and then find out that you're the other. I don't think that's okay myself. Having said that, how fucking drunk was the person? This isn't a good start, you got to understand. This is the transgender woman in question. Gonna guess they looked more like the left. These are the worst eyebrows I've ever seen though. Do not do this. Do not do this. You don't need a ruler to do your eyebrows. This person is 21. Oh my God, I am not going to get over this. I need to somehow get through this. Past twink death and you're not even 22. So we've got transgender woman guilty of sexual assaults on man. This is the transgender woman, Kira Watkin. Transgender woman who lied to a man about being a biological female when she performed sex acts upon him has been found guilty of sexual assault. Kira Watkin, 21, who is biologically male, told the man she was on her period to stop him discovering her real sex. Just don't do this. Prosecutors say it was a case of informed consent, with the man saying he would not have had sexual contact with Watkin from Thornaby had he known the defendant's true status. Like me personally, I don't think this kind of thing is okay. You shouldn't lie to someone in order to get them in bed. I think that should be just a universal standard. Referred to in court by female pronouns, admitted lying, but said the man would have still realised she was biologically male. Well, he didn't though, isn't that the problem? The pair met on Snapchat. The accused used a female cartoon character as a profile picture before meeting in person, going on to have sexual contact. He moved the man's hand away when he went to touch his breast and thigh, told him that he was on his period to stop him feeling below the waist. This person didn't believe that he was biologically male until afterwards. Watkins' lawyer said she saw him present herself as female but was visibly and audibly male, so it would have been blindingly obvious to the man that Watkin was not biologically female. That is the part that I do kind of wonder about. As much as I agree on face value, you should never lie to someone to get them in bed. I can see why anyone would feel violated in that way. I also don't know how they'd have got to the point. Like maybe this person was drunk, I don't know. But I mean, I'd have thought that would have been mentioned, because having sex with someone that's too drunk is like its own issue when it comes to like consent. It was clear before they had sexual activity, Watkin made no attempt to inform the man of her transgender status. It's absolutely a violation of consent. It is at the same time fucking hilarious. It is kind of funny, I'll be honest. That part I do agree with. But listen, we've got a video from this person, trans woman on trial for non-disclosure, Rachel Moore. We looked at this person before. They have these like weird like stories about like AGPs read out by AI on their channel. It's all very strange. And most recently, they've started doing the same kind of grift as like Katie Montgomery and people like that. Essence of Thought, all the same kinds of people. UK just criminalized being trans. No idea what that means. No one's guilty of being trans. Being trans is not an offense in the UK. No one with any sense thinks so. I really hate this kind of thing. But yeah, they've seemed to have taken on this grift like quite recently. And before that, we've got all this like the sissy maid. We watched something else that was like, my wife forced me to cross-dress in public. It's all this like AGP fantasy stuff. Whereas like your wife catches you trying on some stockings one time, and then instead of freaking out or like divorcing you, they want you to actually dress up, and then you discover this new like vibe to your relationship. Every cross-dresser's dream, you know what I mean? But listen, let's see what their takes are.
A transgender woman in the UK is currently on trial for sexual assault. But this isn't about force. It isn't about violence. It's about disclosure. She had a consensual sexual encounter with a man, and only afterwards told him she was transgender.
By the way, extremely dangerous thing to do. You get yourself hurt very, very easily doing this kind of thing. Do not have sex with someone, especially a man, leading them to think that you're a woman and then disclose that you're a man afterwards. Crazy thing to do. You're like speed running trying to get yourself murdered. And that doesn't make it okay to murder someone who does that. But it's a thing that happens. Absolutely insane. Your best bet, especially if you're unsure, is just to disclose, just to be honest about who and what you are. And then someone can say yes or no to that encounter.
Now he's saying he would never have agreed if he had known. And she's the one in court. Think about that. A consensual act happened, but the law is now asking, should trans people be legally required to disclose their history before intimacy? And if so, what does this case mean for the rights of every trans person in the UK? The woman in question is 21-year-old Ciara Watkin. She met the man on Snapchat. They messaged for a while, and eventually he came over to her house. They spent the night together, and according to court reports, she performed sexual acts on him. But when he tried to touch her body, she stopped him, saying she was on her period.
Yeah, so very clearly happy to lie, because obviously no trans woman has a period.
Later, she sent him a message saying she had a massive secret. At first, he thought she meant she was pregnant, but then she told him,
Bizarre.
I'm trans. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you. His reply was WTF. So, you have a D. OMFG. I feel ill. Not long after, he reported her to the police. Prosecutors argue that she concealed her body. And if...
But very much she did, because she's saying, don't touch me down there because I have my period. When it's like, well, no, don't touch me down there because I've got a dick, you know.
If he had known she was transgender, he would never have consented.
I can see why this case went the way it did. Because what the prosecution is saying is just literally what happened. The only thing that I'm really hung up on is, you thought this was a woman? Like, I don't know, man. I guess they're quite young, the people involved.
She's now facing charges of sexual assault. Not because the act itself was unwanted at the time, but because of who she is.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have been wanted if he'd have known the truth.
At the centre of this case is the idea of informed consent. The prosecution says their client didn't give valid consent because he didn't know she was trans. But here's the problem. If we start defining consent not just by what two people do together, but by who one of them is, then we're entering very dangerous territory.
Are we just going to gloss over the fact that they lied?
Imagine if consent could be revoked after the fact, simply because someone learned something new about their partner's identity. That opens the door to criminalising trans women simply for existing.
How? How the fuck does that work? You have to prove that you're being lied to for something like this to make sense. I don't believe he wasn't drunk or high out of his mind. See, I think he must not have been, because that would have been mentioned otherwise, because there is a big legal issue with like having sex with someone who is too drunk or too high to consent. And I 100% think that would have been mentioned if he was like drunk in any way. So I'd be surprised actually if he was. Like, as much as I find it hard to believe based on what I'm being presented with, at the same time, I'm really baffled by this argument. How does something like this mean that trans people are just criminalized? We're talking about sexual assault specifically. If you disclose that you're trans, then you can't be found guilty of sexually assaulting someone on this basis because you were honest in the first place.
For being intimate whilst trans. The fact, simply because someone learned something new about their partner's identity. That opens the door to criminalising trans women simply for existing.
And I hope we're seeing the grift, by the way. It always comes down to this. Let's find a news story that we can blow out of proportion and make it about some bigger issue where they're trying to like make trans people illegal in public, where they're trying to genocide trans people or some shit, is tired, is boring. You've got no case here. It's nonsense. Don't do this and you'll probably be fine. Not difficult. Try not lying to people. If you consider not lying to people, oh wait, that's what you do on your channel apparently, because you're saying shit like this.
For being intimate whilst trans.
Like, this would only happen if you're lying to them. Like, isn't it someone's right to not want to sleep with certain kinds of people? So then if they get tricked, they might feel a certain way. Isn't that their right? Hasn't their consent kind of been violated? If they're having sex with you because they think that you're this, and then they find out that you're that. Had they known you were that, they wouldn't have had sex with you. Like, isn't that kind of a fucked up thing to do to someone? Irrespective.
Think about how this logic could apply to other situations. If someone doesn't disclose that they're bisexual, and their partner later says they wouldn't have dated them otherwise, does that become assault?
Well, you'd have to kind of prove it. I think it's a bit different. For example, saying, I don't date bisexual men as a woman, and then you fuck a man, and then you find out that he's like had sex with a man in his past. I don't think that's quite the same as being a straight man, having sex with a woman, or what you think is a woman, and then finding out that's literally a man. Like, that's bizarre. Being bi changes nothing about a sexual encounter being trans does. Yeah. You're talking about someone having a problem with someone else's history, not knowing that they slept with someone else, or just are attracted to someone else, versus like this person literally was the other sex to what they thought they were. It's a bit different to, oh, I thought you were straight, but you're actually bisexual. I'd be amazed if any of that would fly. Charge will depend on whether a victim was aware of the person's bad sex and therefore consented to sexual activity by choice. Yeah, it kind of seems like birth sex is quite unique in this respect. I don't see any evidence you can use like thinking someone's sexuality is something else to what it was to revoke consent that way. Not every situation where they fail to disclose their sex will involve a criminal offense. But I mean, this person didn't just fail to disclose. They said, you can't touch me down there, I'm on my period. So they were very much lying and willing to lie. Not only willing to lie, but willing to lead them to believe that this person was female by saying, no, you can't touch me down there, I'm on my period. So this case seems pretty cut and dry to me. I don't really see how sexuality has anything to do with it. I don't know how you'd make a similar case based on finding out that someone is bisexual, for example. I ain't seeing it.
If someone has mixed race heritage but doesn't look it, and their partner says afterwards they would have never agreed, is that sexual assault?
Why would race be, like, I don't get it, man. It just seems like there's specific deception as to sex guidance. There isn't any of this kind of thing for sexuality or like race. Why would there be? I don't know, this is where my like lack of legal knowledge is kind of failing me, unfortunately. Like, I wouldn't have consented had I known that you were like a certain amount black. Well, most people are like mongrels anyway. You should understand that any white person you meet might be 10 or 5 or 1% black or something like that. You know what I mean? Trans panic needs to be dismantled in law. I would be inclined to agree with you. At the same time, that doesn't mean that people should be reckless about this kind of shit. Like, just disclose. Just be honest with people that you're having sex with. You shouldn't lie to people that you're having sex with. Like, what conversation are we saying happened here? Someone's like, oh, are you mixed race? Are you like, you know, no, I'm white. Don't worry, I'm completely white. I'm 100% white. The issue here really is that this person led this person to believe they're female by saying, don't touch me down there, I'm on my period. What would the black person equivalent of that be? Would you be, if we were talking about bisexual men, would it be a woman being like, oh, you haven't fucked any guys, have you? I'm really funny about that. I don't fuck guys that are fuck guys. And you're like, no. And then they find out later. I don't see the parallel at all.
Or are we just going to apply this logic to trans people?
Well, we're applying it to someone who lied. A reasonable person can conclude that withholding certain information would lead to a change in consent is rape by deception. Yeah. Well, and maybe you could argue that, like, pretending to be straight instead of bisexual or pretending to be white instead of half black could constitute that. I think it'd be a much harder thing to prove.
If Sierra Watkins is found guilty, it would mean that trans women, by law, must disclose their history before intimacy, even in casual encounters, even in one-night stands.
Yeah, you should be honest about who you are, yes. Don't get yourself fucking killed over this shit, man. It's not worth that bit of like gender affirmation.
And if they don't, they risk being branded sex offenders. Worse still, it could be used as a weapon. Imagine someone has consensual sex with a trans woman, later regrets it, and simply says, I didn't know.
Then you need to prove it. This person literally told this person they were on their period. It wouldn't just be able to be used to retroactively spank any single trans person. It needs to be proven that their consent was violated in some way. You could probably prove with plenty of cases that the person knew they were trans beforehand. If my partner decided to say, I don't think that I consent to us having been in a relationship anymore. I think that I feel now that I've been raped because we've had sex and I've decided that I'm a lesbian and you're male. I don't like that and I'm going to get you for it. Like, I don't know, man. On my fucking dating profile, when we first met, it literally said, I am trans. Literally, it was the first thing there. So my answer to that, if that were to happen, would be, well, good luck with that. How the fuck do you prove that kind of thing? This kind of seems like in this case, it was proven that that's what happened.
Suddenly, she could be dragged into court, face years in prison, not because of what she did, but because of who.
This is incredibly unlikely to happen. If you're a trans woman, for example, and you have like social media and you like post selfies of yourself and hashtag trans everywhere, and that other person like follows you or has seen your social media, that is evidence that they fucking knew who you were. You know what I mean? This is not something that would affect all that many people. It is unlikely, because most trans people, I think, do disclose. Most trans people are open about who they are. There's no shame in being trans. If someone doesn't want to have sex with you, then that's fine. Just find someone else who does want to have sex with you. Lots of people out there are perfectly willing to have sex with trans people. You don't have the right to have sex with anyone. So just be honest.
Who she is. And we've seen this logic before in the so-called trans panic defense. Men who murdered trans women have claimed they were shocked that they didn't know. And the court...
Yeah, I mean, if this is an honest portrayal of trans panic, then yeah, I agree, that's fucked. Shouldn't exist. But the other side of that is, well, this is a propensity some men have. So why risk it?
Court has sometimes accepted it as mitigation. This case risks embedding that same mindset into law.
The person didn't kill this person or lay a finger on this person by the sound of it. There was no violence involved. So how? How would that work? Do you think someone with autism should tell a neurotypical person about it before sex? I don't see why. I think that what sex you are is important. I think you shouldn't fuck around with like people's sexualities that way. And you shouldn't lie about something as big as literally which sex you are. Like, no gay man should be obligated to have sex with a female person just because they say they're trans. Or because they led them to believe that they're a male, you know what I mean?
But there's another layer to this that we can't ignore. Education. The fact that so many people think trans women must disclose, or else it's deception, doesn't come from reality.
There was literally guidance about this in December, my guy, as to when it applies, when it doesn't apply. So it could be an offense specifically, deception as to sex, specifically about sex, not sexuality, not race, not neurodivergence or lack of. And this person clearly lied.
It comes from ignorance. People haven't been taught what it means to be transgender, and so they see us as something hidden, something shameful.
People think this. Source, my ass.
Think about it. We don't make people walk around disclosing they're bisexual, or that they're
Yeah, but we're talking about sex, not sexuality.
mixed race, or that their parents followed a different religion. We accept that.
Why on earth would that be grounds to revoke consent? When people are this quick to use analogies instead of just talking about the actual thing, usually what that suggests to me is that they don't really understand the issue, or are taking steps to try and obscure the issue.
Society is diverse, and we learn to live alongside people who aren't exactly like us.
I mean, people are more like cognizant that trans people exist than ever. Like, how much more representation do we need at this point?
That's what education is for.
You think that many people don't understand what trans people are when fucking Pride Month happens every month? Where's these fucking flags fucking everywhere?
If schools can teach us about world religion so we understand our neighbours, if they can teach us about racism and equality, then they can teach about trans people too. Not to turn children trans. That's the scare story.
But what if it does put ideas in children's heads? What then? What if you start educating kids about trans and then starting to see a rise in children identifying as trans? Bear in mind, they're still young. Their brain isn't fully formed yet. Kids go through phases. They might just be being led to think, because they're a bit feminine in certain ways, because they like playing with dolls when they're a bit younger, that might say something about them. It doesn't matter whether the intent is to teach kids about trans in order to trans them, or in order to help them understand trans people. That effect might still happen, and you'd have to deal with that if that does happen. But your way of dealing with that is just saying it's a scare story. Is it a scare story? Okay, so why is there such a sharp rise in young children, especially young girls, identifying as trans?
But simply to prepare young people for the real world, where trans people exist.
I mean, listen, we looked at like the guidance. What was it called? RSHE guidance. They're going to be like teaching kids. They're not teaching kids about like gender identity, which is probably a good thing because it's completely unfounded. But they want to teach people about, for example, like your legal rights as someone that might fall under gender reassignment. So this is kind of something that's happening anyway. They don't seem to be teaching like really young kids about this, but why do really young kids need to understand this? Like as a teenager, yeah, maybe just a little bit about how these people exist, what their rights are, is fine. What happens in some schools seems to be far above and beyond that. Teaching about like gender identities and what the different ones mean and all the flags and shit. They don't need to know any of that. So like, what you're saying is something that's already happening. That's what Labour are going to be doing anyway.
And always will. Without that education, we end up with a situation like this one.
Are we seriously saying the only reason this happened is because this person didn't understand that trans people exist? How does that absolve this person for lying? How does that mean that it's okay that you can just say you're the other sex, do things like push his hand away, say, no, I'm on my period, which is going to be confirming, especially if you're, a bit stupid, a bit easily manipulated or something. Could be a confirming factor. How does any of that absolve all of that? You still lied. You still had sex with someone deceptively because they thought you were something else than what you are. That's a bit nuts.
Where instead of acceptance, someone reacts with shock, shame, even anger. And
yeah, guys be like that with their sexuality, man. That's why the answer is be honest.
Suddenly, a young woman's freedom is on trial.
Yeah, so this person doesn't give a fuck that this person just lied out their ass in order to get laid. I think that's pretty nasty.
Let me be honest. In a perfect world, no trans woman should have to disclose at all. We should be able to live simply as who we are. If someone sees me as a woman, and I see myself as a woman, why should I have to stop in the middle of a date to explain the details of my birth?
Because people get killed over this shit. People get hurt over this shit. What kind of role model are you being here?
But we don't live in that perfect world. Personally, I do disclose. Not because
Hey, there we go. Well done.
I believe I should have to, but because I'm aware
Yeah, not because of any respect for the other person, making sure they know what they're getting in for. Nothing like that. Fuck that. You know what I mean?
of how dangerous it can be not to.
At least that's something. Listen, I'll give them that. But it's like still, the trans narcissism shines through. You don't care about the person you're having sex with. It's all about you, isn't it?
I know cases like this one exist. I know trans women have been attacked, or worse, when a man feels deceived.
For many trans women, the deception is the turn on. Well, maybe for some, I don't know. I wouldn't know where to like verify something like that, you know?
For me, if I were going into a long-term relationship, disclosure is natural. You build honesty with someone you love. But for a casual
Well, yeah, but you should start from the off, of course.
encounter, a one-night stand, I don't believe disclosure should be legally required. And I absolutely...
Disclosure isn't legally required. But you shouldn't lie to them. You shouldn't go out of your way to convince them that you're the other sex. That's different from disclosure being required. I'm pretty sure it says, not every situation where a trans or non-binary person fails to disclose their sex will involve a criminal offense. So it's not necessarily failure to disclose. In this case, this person lied in order to get laid.
Don't believe not disclosing should be treated as sexual assault.
Okay, what about lying? They won't engage with the actual problem. They won't engage with, like, lying. Should you be able to lie?
This is what the defense in court called a trial of our times. It isn't just about one young woman.
Not about any women, technically.
Teesside. It's about the rights of trans people across the UK.
Yeah, the right to lie. How do we fail this hard to understand the core problem here? How do you make an entire video like this, completely overlooking the actual problem here? How do you do that? Did you actually read any of the fucking articles about this? I'm like blown away. You're able to quote the defense, but you're not able to understand why there's such a fucking problem here.
Are we going to live in a society where being trans itself is grounds for criminalization?
No, because that's not how it is, and you're just lying if you think so. Why is it that people have to lie and pretend things are so much worse than they are? And that every fucking case like this, with some piece of shit who lied to someone so they could get laid, with someone that wouldn't have fucked them if they knew the truth. Why does that have to be generalized to more trans people? The average trans people is not even fucking like this, man. You're the one making the comparison right now.
Or are we going to uphold the principles that if sex is consensual, in the moment, it's consensual, full stop?
Does that extend to children?
And it links.
So if someone genuinely is trying to fuck a gay guy, but they're female, and they dress up a certain way to trick him, that's just okay to do. You're just okay to do that. It's okay to have sex with someone where they think you're something else than what you are because you've lied to them. You think that should just be okay, regardless? Well, I consented at the time. I just feel incredibly weird because my trust was violated in a massive way. Someone wanted to have sex with me and were willing to lie in order to do so. I don't know about anyone else. If someone lied to me and I had sex with them on the basis that I thought they were someone else, and then I found out later that they lied to me and they're something else, yes, I'd feel fucking betrayed. Yes, I'd be a bit fucking disgusted.
To a wider trend. We've seen debates about trans.
Yes, a wider trend of fucking idiot Katie Montgomery clones. Because one Katie Montgomery isn't enough right now. Jesus Christ.
Trans women being excluded from rape crisis centres.
What, a bit like men?
About trans women, and it links to a wider trend. We've seen debates about trans women being excluded from rape crisis centres.
Crisis centres. Why is that? It's because they're male. If a woman has just been raped by a man, they probably need to be kept away from any male people. That woman doesn't necessarily see a trans woman and be like, oh, okay, no, I feel fine about this person because I know that they're a trans woman. They might see a man. They might not see their fucking gender identity because you can't see their gender identity. You have to not allow that person to get re-traumatized. However it takes. That is super important. So it means that at least some of these rape crisis centers need to be women only. Very importantly, women are the ones most likely to get raped by men. And if you look at sexual assault statistics, most of the time it's females being raped by males. The gender identity shit really doesn't come into it much. And if you try and introduce it, you might actually think that trans women are more likely to rape because there's statistics suggesting as such. It's just that when you mitigate it with certain factors, like, well, some of them are like Isla Brysons who came out after the fact, it makes it more seem like there's a male and a female pattern. Like, on what basis is a trans woman owed access to certain women's only spaces? On gender identity? How do you show your gender identity? With a woman, it's a bit different because they're just a fucking female. It's just very, very obviously true about them.
We've seen laws and rulings narrowing who is...
And by the way, if rape crisis centers or anything like domestic abuse shelters, maybe you're not able to get into all the same domestic abuse shelters if you're a male person. Bearing in mind, men do get fucking domestic abused and do get raped. There still has to be like provisions for them. Like, I don't know if it's one-to-one. I don't know if it's the same for domestic abuse as it is for rape. But I mean, there's a fairly obvious reason why most of them are female only. It's because that's who most of the victims of sexual assault are. You can't rape without a penis in this country legally. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. We're now starting to reach out and find all different things that are being talked about to try and point to evidence that we're being like genocided or something. I'm sorry, I'm sick of it. We ain't doing this lying shit anymore. And everyone that does, I'm fucking coming for you. In a video game, not literally.
Recognized as a woman. Women being excluded from rape crisis centres. We've seen laws and rulings narrowing who is recognized as a woman.
Why should any one male person have the right to be recognized as a woman? On what basis should it be done?
Taken together, these things show a disturbing direction of travel, pushing trans women out.
Disturbing direction of travel? No, they're just kind of prioritizing sex instead of gender identity now. Just how it is. Doesn't mean you can't still exist as a trans person. Doesn't mean that as a trans person you now can't legally step outside your front door. All this like exaggeration has to go. Every day people are peaking because they're hearing from trans people like this who are just so obviously exaggerating and lying out their asses. That is making them think, hey, I've been like trans affirming up to this point, but I'm starting to feel like I'm being lied to because some of you are just making it too fucking obvious.
Is recognized as a woman. Taken together, these things show a disturbing direction of travel, pushing trans women out of legal protections and...
Legal protections what? Not to lie to people about your sex? Legal protection, like, what's rape crisis centers even got to do with that? They clarified that woman means born female, assigned female at birth, however you want to put it. So technically we never really had those protections.
Social acceptance.
I tell you what, if you want greater social acceptance, stop lying to people. Stop treating people like they're stupid. Stop covering these kinds of topics and missing the very, very obvious problem that is going on here, that is why this happened, and does not mean that it's applicable to every single trans person who exists now. That being that this person is a piece of shit who lied to someone in order to get laid, which is not most trans people, by the way. Stop doing all that shit. Just be honest. I think that would help tremendously. One Katie Montgomery is more than enough. One Essence of Thought is more than enough. We don't need more. Go back to your weird like sissy hypno AI videos. At least you're not driving people up the fucking garden path with that shit.
For me, this case is not about deception, and it's not about assault.
Literally, this case is not about deception. You're delusional. You're fucking delusional. It's not about that because you want to frame it as some kind of alarmist thing. That's just not going to happen.
It's about stigma. Two young people met. They had consensual encounters, and when he later felt embarrassed in front of his friends...
Later felt embarrassed in front of his friends. Is that what happened?
About assault. It's about stigma. Two young people met. They had consensual encounters, and when he later felt embarrassed in front of his friends, she became the one on trial. That should never be the basis for criminal law.
Yes, you should be allowed to lie to anyone in order to get them in bed. Amazing. Actually, I'm kind of concerned about this person now, I gotta say. If this is the kind of thing you're down with, thank fuck we'll never meet, that's all I'm gonna say.
And this is why we have to pay attention. Because if this stands, it tells every trans person that your identity itself can be treated as a crime.
No, oh my god, what an absolute crock of shit. What an absolute fucking liar this person is. Like, how many times do I need to say it? How many times do I need to scroll this fucking article? It ain't about identity. It's about someone lying. It's about someone deceiving. A person who does not identify as trans could do this very same thing if they wanted to. For all we know, maybe this person doesn't even identify as trans. I don't fucking know. Would it be okay if a so-called cisgender man dressed up to look like you and then fucked a tranny chaser who thought he was fucking a legitimate tranny, but actually it turned out that he's just a guy who just dressed up in order to have sex with a chaser? Would that be okay?
It says that no matter how you live your life, someone else's discomfort can be used to strip away your freedom.
We're just fucking lying. This is just bullshit propaganda from yet another shitty fucking TRA channel from England. You're nuts, mate. You're fucking nuts.
We cannot build a fair society.
Yeah. Trans person does something illegal. All trans are illegal. Yeah. Ain't no one saying that but this person. Who's the real transphobe?
Society on that foundation. We cannot allow fear, shame, or ignorance to dictate who is considered worthy of love or intimacy or respect.
I tell you who I consider deserving of love and respect. People who are honest with me. People who don't lie to me. People who don't pull the wool over my eyes in order to get me to do something that they want. That's the kind of people that I consider worthy of love and respect. If people lie to me, then no, I don't really respect them. No, I don't respect someone who's willing to lie to me to get what they want out of me. Fuck that shit.
The real answer lies in education, in empathy, and in standing firm.
You don't have any empathy. I think that's the problem. I think your empathy is extremely conditional on whether the person's trans or not. That's kind of how it seems.
Against the idea that trans people must justify our existence.
Who is saying any of this?
We are not a secret to be revealed. We are not a danger.
If we're not a secret to be revealed, why did this person reveal a secret after the fact, having got what they wanted out of this person? That's literally what this person was doing. Jesus fucking Christ. It's 1 + 1 and then it's 2. It is not difficult to fucking connect the dots. Fuck me, man.
To be managed. We are people, and people deserve dignity. This is the principle that should guide our laws.
You want dignity, treat other people as though they're worthy of dignity. Don't lie to them, for example.
Our culture and our future. Thank you so much for watching. If this video meant something to you, please consider giving it a like. It really helps the channel.
I already did. Oh shit, I pressed the wrong way. It's too late to take back now.
Grow. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget.
Nope, I sure fucking don't. Like I said, one Katie Montgomery is enough. More than enough. I wish that fucking person would shut the fuck up as well. Because every time they open their mouth, it's another lie. And they're too much of a fucking pussy to talk about it in person or voice to voice, as it were. Voice chat. Jesus fucking Christ, what did I watch? What evidence is there that the encounter was based on deceit? Actually fucking Delulu. Literally read any article. What evidence? Jesus Christ. Misleading and lying by omission. They didn't even lie by omission. They made positive claims to say that they are female when they're not, saying they had a period. She wasn't tricking anyone. Here's who she says she is, a woman living a life open. She is who she says she is, a woman living her life openly. No, that's exactly the opposite of what happened, you fucking retard. What the fuck is wrong with this person? They are actually fucking broken in the head. If they think that this person is living their life openly. That's exactly not what happened. They weren't open with this person. I am gonna fucking lose my shit in a minute. Fuck me, dude. Actually, fuck me. What is happening? Be upfront if you're proud of who you are, be honest. Yes, I agree. I wish the world worked like that. What, you wish trans people wouldn't lie to people and then get in trouble for it? I guess that makes two of us in a way. Listen, at the very least, the comments seem sensible. People seem to be calling this person out on their shit. Homosexual act by deception, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can bring up race or sexuality. I'm not aware that there's anything to do with that legally, the way that there is about sex. Deception as to sex is its own thing. What cases are there out there for someone trying to deceive someone into having sex with them by pretending to be a different race, or sexuality, pretending they haven't fucked guys in their history or something like that? You know what I mean? I don't see that kind of history. Got trans flag overreacting, of course. Yeah. What if someone, that's another thing. What if you're 15, you tell someone that you're 19, and then you have sex? That person didn't think they were having sex with a minor and then finds out that they were. Isn't that going to be kind of devastating to them? Someone jerking off. Wasn't consensual. Listen. My faith in humanity is at least someone restored. Gemma Barker established physical relationships. So this person was pretending to be male in order to get with people. Committed sexual assault. Gemma Barker and Gail Newland are both Decepticons in the UK. Yeah. So this person was pretending to be male. Like, this is like fucked. Why would you defend this? Like, I need to get off this topic because this is like actually pissing me off, like actively. I hate these people. I'm so sick of every trans channel I come across. It's another fucking lying fucking Katie Montgomery wannabe. Like, fuck off with that shit. Don't stick up for this shit. Gail Newland used a prosthetic penis. Tricked her blindfolded friend into sex. Okay. So would this have been consensual? Should that person be okay with it because they didn't have a problem in the moment, but then found out that this is going on? Bisexual wouldn't be seen the same way. He consented to sleeping with a woman and he would have slept with a woman. Well, yeah. You're like looking at, what you're looking at is who you're having sex with. With this guy, he thought he was having sex with someone that was different to what was in front of him. And that's not okay. And fucking transoid idiots on YouTube need to stop playing defense for this kind of shit. Pretend they have to do so out of some concern for like trans rights. There's not trans rights. Fuck this person. They don't deserve rights. They lied to people in order to fuck them. I don't want any fucking association with these kinds of people. So I don't make associations with these kind of people. I don't say, well, this is something that could apply to a whole load of trans people. Well, no. I actually think most trans people don't lie to people in order to fuck them. I have more faith in the trans community, apparently, than that fucking person does. I'm fine with that. Listen, I love virtue signaling. I love being able to be the woke one from time to time. Fuck you. Anyway. So, used a prosthetic penis without a victim's consent. Pretended to be a man, so catfished, use a prosthetic penis to make someone think that they're fucking a man, but they're actually fucking a woman. That's disgusting. This person deserves to be locked up for that shit. Finally took off her mask. Jesus Christ. Like, this is fucked. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. Don't fool people into thinking you're the other sex to what you are. It's not okay. It's fucking disgusting. It's predatory. Don't play defense for this. You end up sounding insane. Well, that got me heated as fuck.